Hello, beloveds. So, I am preparing for the retreat that I am hosting in Mount Shasta on July 31st through August 4th of 2019. And in my shamanic journey, I got a nudge to share some of the transmissions that I received last time I was in Shasta, which was last August. And I use Akashic Enlightenment and light language to align myself for contact with higher beings, setting an intention of benevolent beings, connecting with them, and whatever messages that they may have to share with me. Or sometimes I'll set an intention of what I'm asking to receive. So it's similar to if you were to do a shamanic journey. You set the question or your intention that you're going to do the journey on to ask your teacher or power animal. Or if you're going to do an Akashic Enlightenment reading or alignment for yourself, before you go in, you get your questions together or the topic that you're going to look at when you're in there. And then once you're in that sacred space, then you go ahead and you ask that question and allow it to come in. So in this sense, we're using higher dimensional beings, extraterrestrials, as the being that is coming in with this message that we are asking for. So you could look at it as a type of a divination, except you are connecting with another higher being that is benevolent, right? And so, it's going to come in through the filter of that being, right? And most likely the being that you are going to attract is going to be the one that you're setting the intention to connect on a certain topic, right? They're going to come in because you're setting the frequency of, I would really like to know about self-healing. I went up there with the intention of having a very enlightening contact with very high conscious beings, and for them to put me into alignment with higher awareness. Okay. And so I went up to Shasta with that intention. I felt like they were already connecting with me while I was here at home, almost like a calling. That's usually when I go to Shasta, is I feel that there is some sort of a calling, kind of like how I get the nudges to do these transmissions for the YouTube channel, for the collective. So I was encouraged to share this transmission from one of the higher being contact sessions that I did when I was in Shasta last August. So I was with another group, and people were kind of doing their own things, but I was using Akashic Enlightenment and light language to make a connection. All right. So this is the transmission. Well, first I have a little writing of what was going on that night, and then I'll read what, let's see, I'm just looking at my notes here. Yes, so it is actually the transcript of what happened that night, the experience, all right? I didn't actually record the actual, what was happening in the moment. Just afterwards, I went and wrote down what had occurred. And then the next morning, I got up and opened up Akashic Enlightenment and did a deeper read on what I had received. And this is exactly what I'm going to be teaching at the Mount Shasta retreat that I'm offering end of July through beginning of August. So if you are feeling drawn to this, then it sounds like it's something that's in alignment for you to look at participating in doing for yourself. This is a way to accelerate your awareness and your consciousness, right? So if you feel drawn to this, then that is a sign that you may want to join us on this trip. Okay, so there is a link for that below. And now I will go ahead and read this transcript here. All right. So this is from August 18th, 2018. I'm sorry, August 17th, 2018. So 8/17/18. We're in Mount Shasta. This is at the Sands Flat location. And let's see. In my notes I have that the group that is there, they're seeing They're looking for ships up in the sky, okay, using like a laser. It's kind of a common way to activate contact with the ships. And so they're using a laser, and then the ships will, they grow like a light bulb. They get really bright. So I don't, if you've seen some like Stephen Greer videos, he has a lot of videos from his contact sessions. And so if you want to see what that looks like, that's a good example of that. So the group is seeing about, they're like 7 light bulbs is what they're called. And it's about 9:30 p.m. It's about a group of 8 or 9 of us. Upon settling in, I open up Akashic Enlightenment, preparing and attuning myself to make contact. I recite some light language to myself that naturally flows in preparing for me for the contact. I also played the Mount Shasta tones from Stephen Greer's ET Contact app for one 10-minute loop, at which time some of us felt multiple groups come in. The first group that was there immediately, maybe even before playing the tones, was a ship that was not fully materialized in our dimension, and who I could just feel the presence of on the far right lower to the ground. They asked what our intention was. I asked the group leader, and we agreed just whatever is in the highest and best, upon which immediately a transmission began. It felt just like a light energy pressure descending on the group and on my body. It was short, and when done, they left. I didn't see anything specific about this group. They seemed shy. So when I say see, I'm seeing all these beings clairvoyantly. So you could say fifth dimensionally through the veil, right? So as someone would see an angel or a passed on loved one, right? It's that sight of seeing interdimensionally, other energetic realms, okay? And a lot of this, I'm writing down my experience. I'm unsure on if anybody else was experiencing the same thing or felt that. Again, I was kind of doing my own thing. And then if something came up, I shared it with the group that was there. All right. So then the second group of ships that came in after I played the tones, I saw them quite clearly, clairvoyantly. They looked insect-like and felt very serious and down to business. They had 2 antennae on their head and had faces like ants, with pointed chins and black shiny skin, but stood upright with 2 legs and arms. They had slightly oval dark eyes. They asked me why we wanted them and why did we call them. They seemed a bit irritated, as we had no official business, which is what they seemed to imply they were about. I felt put off by this, and like it wasn't necessarily the high-frequency connection I was wanting to make, which they felt as well, and thus we both felt that there was really no work to be done, and they weren't really interested in sticking around. So they soon left, realizing there was no work for them to do there, and it wasn't a resonant match. So again, I was working with a group of people, and there was not a group intention really set there. And so I felt that the beings that were coming in were kind of coming in for different people. So in the group that I'll be leading, I'll be pulling us all together in an equal intention. Again, the beings that come in for contact with you are coming in alignment with your resonance, your frequency, just like human beings, right? If you carry a very low frequency and you're freaking out, or, it's all of these things, and you're going to attract more of that, right? It's like attracts like, all right? And so this is why when we go up there, we're going to be all entering into Akashic Enlightenment. I'll be doing light language to attune all of us, and then we will set an intention. on who we want to contact. And then how that goes, and the level of which that goes depends on the person's soul path, right? But because I've been called to lead a group there, I'm assuming that they are going to make a contact in alignment with this, right? They've kind of called us up there, and we're responding to that, or I'm responding to that, right? Okay. And so now this final contact, these are the beings that I have a feeling that we may come into contact with them when we go up there. Okay. I've connected with them a little further during the full moon that we just had in my shamanic journey. I did a little further contact with them during the full moon portal on May 18th, 2019, and just kind of unpacked some of the gifts that they gave me while I was there, some of the awareness, right, or the healing frequencies that they gave me. So they connect to us energetically, telepathically, transmitting higher knowledge, energy frequencies that help us in our soul growth and our awareness, right, and allowing us to come into new ways of learning to do healing for ourselves and for others, and new higher awarenesses, all right? Because they've been around a lot longer, or they've been doing this a lot longer, right? Kind of how we parent our children or we take care of our pets, they're kind of helping us out too. So, as you know, many of you are familiar with the Pleiadians or maybe the Arcturians, and you know how they're helping us out. So, this group that I made contact with in this August meditation that I'm referring to now, they are very high vibration, okay? And you'll get a feeling for that when I start reading about the experience. And then I did the Akashic Enlightenment reading on the contact with them, okay? All right. So finally, this very large ship came into the right side of the sky from where I was laying and looking up. It looked a bit like the big boxy ships that are in the original Star Wars movies, except they were made out of all pure crystalline light. Upon seeing the ship, and its white-blue glow emanating from it, I could feel a very deep and strong sense of peace, and pure unconditional love and euphoria, and so could those next to me feel a sense of great peace coming in. I felt the very high vibration of their ship, so euphoric. I felt like I couldn't move or breathe. The intensity of the high frequency coming from the ship and its beings aboard was so high. I sat there for a minute just receiving this high frequency transmission of love. Then they telepathically asked me to come aboard. So I boarded their ship astrally, or with my consciousness, similar to a middle world shamanic journey. Once on the ship, I felt the high frequency even more intensely, and it made me feel a bit restless, like I had trouble holding so much high frequency love and light in my physical body. One of the ETs was there to greet me. It had a sort of faded matte gray blue skin and body with 2 arms and 2 legs. Its eyes were black, very large and round, and filled with the deepest compassion that once you looked into them, it was as if you could sink into their depths, as if an entire universe or all of existence could be seen in their depth and wisdom. The being pointed its left arm at something in the center of the room or space we were on their ship, and at its center there was this rather large crystal lotus flower, glowing and beaming pure white light. It was so truly beautiful. The being explained that their ship was run by this tiny, very powerful crystal, a little bit bigger than the size of a pea. It further explained that crystal gave them everything they needed, whatever they need to exist. At this point, people started talking in the circle, and I was a bit distracted or couldn't fully focus on what we were doing. Once refocused, The being wanted me to come further aboard the ship. I felt a little nervous because I could feel more of me leaving Earth the further I moved into their ship. I went forward and saw these other beings aboard. Quite a few of them, maybe 20. I could feel they were all connected, and connected to the ship via the crystal. I felt so humbled and honored to be there, and felt such a warm sense of welcome when someone kindly welcomes you into their home. Meanwhile, trying to maintain holding the high frequency they were at. I tried asking who they were and received a name in clicks and sounds not reproducible in human language. Then more of our group were making noise as they were seeing what are called the light bulb ships in the sky. They were these strong, bright bursts of bright white light that would power up large and then disappear. So it's clear that they were seeing something on the three-dimensional realm physically with their eyes, as I was having this higher astral telepathic connection with one of the ships that were there. And that's usually how this works, right? Depending on what kind of contact you are focusing on, you may be looking at the three-dimensional ship, right? That'll come as a bright light, or you can go with your consciousness and connect with the beings and actually board their ships astrally. So I refocused on the ship and asked what else. They asked what I wanted. I said, how about teaching us self-healing? I really had not a specific idea and just threw this out last minute, being put on the spot. And I couldn't think clearly in this high divine frequency they were emitting that felt like pure divine love, like what is talked about by those who've had an NDE or come into contact with a powerful high-level archangel. The beings sent a transmission, which I could feel in my heart. Then our group was ready to go. So I slowly started to disconnect, saying thank you to the beings, and thank you for inviting me, and thank you for this beautiful energy and transmission. They said I could come back anytime and visit them via shamanic journey to learn more from them. I asked them again what their name was, and this time got an English name of Aqualorians. I retraced my steps back out of their ship, astrally traveling back down to my body. This was when more light bulb ships in the sky above began to light up. And that was the completion of that contact. Okay, and now I'm going to read the Akashic Enlightenment reading on this contact. So I just opened my Akashic Enlightenment and asked about this, okay? And then you can also do a shamanic journey on this. There's lots of different ways to go about this. I just did a short reading. I didn't have a lot of time when I was up there because we had a pretty busy schedule looking at the sites. All right. So in this reading, I asked, who were those beautiful beings that I boarded their ship last night? They are an ancient builder race, here a long, long, long time ago, before your galaxy ever existed. They came to talk to you about helping seed a new consciousness among your people. They are here still to teach you this when you are ready. It will be a new way to use Akashic Enlightenment, the tools you already have, in a new way. So that right there, it sounds like, they're already saying, we're here to help you take Akashic Enlightenment to the next level, right? And so this is why we're being called to go up there, right? To share in what they're going to teach us and how to expand our consciousness and these new tools, right? And so we each may receive that in a different way. I may get new lessons to teach all of you, and we'll see what they bring forward, right? But there is an invitation to come back and to work with them into enhancing the Akashic Enlightenment tool. And then I said, what else can you tell me about them? And they just said, they are ancient and wise and do no harm. Harm is not in their resonance field anymore. They are pure beings of light, returned back to their state before incarnation and choosing to be in a semi-physical form to do good and helping others achieve such statuses. They are here to help. So it sounds like they have, reached a very high level of enlightenment or awareness or this returning back to source, right? Which is more or less what Akashic Enlightenment is about, right? Reconnecting to your highest divine blueprint. And they are coming into contact with that high frequency. So I'm really excited that they cued me to share this with you. And now that I'm doing it, I really feel I understand why. This is really an invitation to come up there and to connect with them and allow them to help us on our awakening journey here and to further develop how to use Akashic Enlightenment for this higher divine contact and connection. So I really hope, if you feel drawn to this, to join us in Mount Shasta. There are spaces for just joining the retreat itself. I think there's one spot left in the house that we've rented to do this in. And there's going to be a total of 20 people allowed on the retreat. That's enough for the group. And there's great places to rent for Airbnb, or you can stay at the Best Western that's there. I have a link to all of this on my website. But it's really great. And it's great when you have a group, because the group collects together and makes a larger beacon, right? This beacon to be connected through. So it would be great to have you there for another light, to bring in more light, and also just to have you step forward further on your path. It's really nice to work with the Mount Shasta vortex there. It allows you to accelerate your spiritual growth, your awareness process, right? So this is the purpose of these types of retreats. You get to go in pretty deep with yourself and go to places that you couldn't do on your own, or that you couldn't do in a spaced out amount of time. When you take a condensed amount of time together, right, and we're going to be doing 5 days, it allows you to go deeper, because it's a very dedicated focus and energetic practice that we're going to be doing. And we'll be visiting some of the sites there as well, and doing some shamanic journey work as well. And there's some great food up there, great places to eat, and beautiful nature. And so it'll be an awesome trip. So I hope you enjoyed me sharing this transmission with you. I hope that if you feel called to join us on the trip, you will do that. And I hope that you are working with Akashic Enlightenment in a way that is suited to you and your highest and best, in a way that feels like it's serving you and your path. And thank you for listening to this transmission. And I look forward to connecting with you next time. So much love and much light. I will place the link for joining this retreat in the description below this video. Okay, much love. Speak to you next time. Many blessings. Bye for now.